A very good evening, everyone. My name is Sansita Sahu, and as part of the community engagement team here at Silver Genie, it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you all tonight. As we gather in this room filled with warmth, purpose, and shared energy, I'm very honored to introduce something very close to our heart, something that truly reflects what Silver Genie is all about. And we call this Silver Genie Atta. And more than a program or initiative, Adda is a heartfelt community space for stories, learning, and celebration. And we are very proud to present in front of you a collage of our webinars from season 1 and 2, where we discuss topics from spirituality to nutrition and now travel. These are some of the recommendations which were made by our audience members and some were suggested to us. So, I think I have to thank everyone here who have been a part with us for season 1 and now season 2. And I think I need no introduction here. So we'll move on to the next slide here. Okay. So I think if you look at the screen, you see some very familiar words. You see the words refreshing, you see the words need of the hour, you see the words connections. And I think when I read this, what comes to my mind is this is the exact remarks that were shared by you audience members. So, we are always so delighted when we have a two-way communication. And some of these words were actually shared by you. So, when as we're coming to the end of this year, it brings me such immense joy that we are, on our second last webinar for season 2. And just a little something that we can boast about is how we have changed the lives of seniors, how we have made them so engaged with us. And as the number is presented on our screen, we have touched the lives of thousands of seniors. And while my words are not enough to just show how happy I am to say this, but we continue to nurture this community. And I really, really want to take a moment to thank everyone who has been a part of our journey together. Can we have the next slide, please? And something that we have all been waiting for, wanderlust with care. And my personal favorite line that I like to use is giving wings to dreams. These are some of the travel insights which were documented and shared for all of us to read. These were some of the blogs which were written by our personal cohort members about their experiences with us. Here you see the experience of, for example, going to Darjeeling, and they were seniors who were traveling alone. Or we have Mahakumbh, which is an entire spiritual experience for our seniors. And we have our very own speaker who went to Taj Mahal as a solo woman traveler. I mean, what amazing insights we have gotten from all of our cohort members. And of course, how can I forget our Durga Puja with Care experience? So some of these cohorts and destinations are all planned by us, but the main focus of all of this is care in the middle. We just want to ensure that anyone who's traveling with us knows that they are protected and they're safe. And we just want to make the travel experiences accessible and inclusive for all. And as the numbers also show on the screen, we have 6 destinations we have covered so far, and we have around 73 Genie explorers with us. So thank you again to all our audience members, especially our Genie explorers here too. Can we have the next slide, please? And having boasted so much about our blog experiences, I am very, very delighted to just also present to you, which I'll also be sharing this slide deck to everyone in the group and on chat, is our blog experiences. Now, the reason I wanted to discuss this and show it to everyone is just to, give everyone a push to read our blog pages and understand that we are truly a place where we just want to care for our seniors, anyone who's traveling with us, and, remember all the good times that they had with us. So I would encourage everyone to go to our website, look at the blogs, and we just had new 2 blogs uploaded right now, which was the Sikkim trip, which our CFO went to, and then secondly we have Kolkata spiritual tour, which was a group of women who traveled alone. I have to say that this is a must read for anyone who's here. And without further delay, let us deep dive into what exactly we mean by wanderlust with care, and what better to have the panelists here who will tell us from their experiences what wanderlust with care actually means. Can we move on to the next slide? Now, something that we have all been waiting for, the introduction to all our panelists. Unfortunately, for some reason, Arvind sir was not able to join us, but no worries. We have a very esteemed founder with us, Ms. Paulami Bhattacharya, who will be talking and moderating the speakers as well. So I think I'll let her have the introduction, but after that, I will just Paulini ma'am, would you just want to quickly say a few words? We'll come back to you later on that as well. Let me introduce our second moderator of the day, Ms. Poroma Ganguly. She brings over 20 years of experience in building and shaping brands, and today uses that expertise to shift narratives in the spaces where it matters the most. She began her career in advertising, holding leadership roles across global networks where she guided organizations through movements of change, helped build and scaled healthcare and developmental communication practices. Through this journey, she honed an enduring skill understanding how communication can move ideas, people, and systems. Today, she runs Visibility Labs, a powerful space for women founders and social impact leaders to build the confidence, capacity, and systems needed to be seen, remembered, and influenced. Thank you so much, Poroma ma'am, for joining us today. We cannot wait to hear your moderation here. Next, we will move on to our speakers for the day, whom I'm very excited to be here for. I'm very delighted to welcome our first speaker, Mr. Puneet Dahiya. Sir, I hope you're here with us as well. Sir has spent over 28 years working across 30 nationalities, building 50 plus large scale IT products, and launching multiple enterprise startups. He took a sabbatical to reflect on this journey, and the practice of meditation brought him a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. This led to him to create Trexova, an initiative born at the intersection of travel, technology, and well being. Trexova aims to make wellness experiences accessible and meaningful for people everywhere, especially those navigating high pressure lifestyles. A very warm welcome to you, sir, and thank you for joining us today. Okay. I would now like to welcome our next speaker, Mr. Varun Girilal. Sir is the managing partner at Scriptbox, one of India's leading wealth management platforms with over 21,000 crores in assets. With more than 2 decades of experiences, he has conducted personal finance workshops for seniors across communities and corporates. Sir is also a former Ranji Trophy cricketer and a travel enthusiast who has explored India and the world with his senior parents and extended family. As an angel investor in Silver Genie, he has supported our journey from day one. And we are very, very delighted to have you here today with us, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sansita.
Thank you, sir. Our very next speaker is Miss Yvonne, and it is my pleasure to welcome her here today. Ma'am began her journey as an attorney before moving into social entrepreneurship management. With her 10 years of experience across East and West Africa, she has worked in last mile distribution, renewable energy, health, digital innovation, and gender inclusion. And at Pink, she serves as an inclusive marketing lead, helping organizations bring life-changing innovations to underserved communities. Her work focuses on designing sustainable models and supporting women's empowerment across value chains. And we are very thrilled to have you with us today, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. Last but definitely not the least, I now very warmly welcome our final speaker, Dr. Arjun Bhattacharya. Sir is a very renowned developmental pediatrician at Apollo Multi Hospital Specialty Hospital in Kolkata, with over 36 years of experience in pediatrics, neonatology, and developmental pediatrics. Having trained in the UK for 12 years, he remains one of the few specialists in India equipped with gold standard diagnostic tools for autism and child development. His dedication led to the creation of India's first integrated child development center in the corporate healthcare sector, transforming the landscape of developmental care. And we are very, very honored to have you join us today, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And with that, I will hand it over to Paulini ma'am to share your opening remarks and start our webinar for the day.
Thank you, Sansita, for the introductions. And if I can start with Varun, Varun, request you to switch on your camera. It's definitely a pleasure hosting you. Um, so before
Thanks,
we begin,
Paulami.
um, I mean, it is by luck or coincidence that today I am taken up the seat of a moderator because of some unavoidable incidents and the personal life of Mr. Mittal. Uh, Varun, you have been a co-traveler with us in the Silver Genie journey, and also amongst the first co-travelers as we started the travel vertical. Um, so, what are some of the key things one needs to remember when traveling with seniors? Since you went as a care concierge for your mother when we started Mahakumbh.
Sure. Thanks, Paulami, for having me over here. You have invited me for an event which is very close to my heart. And a little bit of quick context. So I've done a lot of travel with my parents and my in-laws, and a little bit of context. My parents have traveled a lot, fortunately, and my in-laws have been the typical NRI Middle East parents who, whenever they had holidays, it would be coming home, and they've not traveled as much. So when we got married, we decided that we'll plan and schedule a lot of trips together with them. Uh, so I think a very important part here, fundamentally, if you're really trying to plan something which is really going to bring them joy, I think a lot of it is about being a really good listener. Because, and this listening has to happen, it's a state of that is continuous. Because when you listen and in informal, casual conversations, you understand things which really matter for them. And I think a very important part of this for me has been to create excitement and possibility. Like I remember when we first uh, broached the idea of traveling and especially internationally to my in-laws, they told, no, our time is over, guys. Like now you guys go and do it. And the way we went about it is we said, okay, let's first do a closer trip. So we planned a trip to Thailand, Southeast Asia, and this really opened their eyes. And it made them, we had some great experiences during the trip, and it made them believe that uh, this is possible. And then after that, it's been every year we do at least two trips together. And along the way, our family grew, kids came in, and personally, I feel it's always the grandparents who bring in that magic dust. Uh, and just I think it's been a huge benefit for the children and just having the grandparents along. So I think what is really important here, especially at this age, is the quality matters a lot much more than quantity, especially during this time. So, uh, doing a few things, doing it really well, completely aligning it with what really matters to them, involving them in the process, asking them their opinions, all these things make a huge difference. Another thing I think is to also leave a lot of room for margin of safety. Like as younger people, and because I'm a very active traveler, I'm used to just reaching the airport like with very little time. And so if I were to tell my parents or in-laws or seniors that hey, we're going to reach 1 hour before, they would be really uncomfortable. So making room for that time, making room for that chaos, all these small things matter a lot. Uh, so yeah, I think fundamentally it's about listening and sensing the unsaid, involving them in the process so that you can curate something which is dear to their hearts. Taking care of all the logistical parts. I mean, these things go, without being said, and it's really important, I would say, to make them feel valued, right? Not just taken care of during the trip. So it's just that joy will come from feeling comfortable, connected, and not from rushing to see everything.
Very well said. I'm just going to pick on that one point that you said, the airport story that you mentioned. So when we plan travel with seniors, whether they're traveling on their own or with a concierge, as we say, like you, right, or a caregiver like you, there is also an element of anxiety, discomfort, because most seniors do have clinical interventions. What importance does planning play in the process, and how do you overcome these shorter gaps?
Yeah, so I think your checklists really have a very important role to do. Uh, so checklist, of course, having anything around the medical side completely at hand and ready. Uh, so also having a backup thing in place. So I remember, for example, uh, when I planned this trip for my mom in the Kumbh, and my mother is she's a cancer patient, and when we planned it, the whole extended family had a almost freaked out. And I think what really helped me here is to make them aware of how everything was planned, and I made them aware that there's very little of walking to be done because the nitty-gritties of how the travel, mobility, all that is taken care of. And of course, luckily in the Kumbh, I had the Silver Genie medical team available. So I made them aware that, we are also part of this group and community, and any flare up which happens, I'll be able to tap into this help at hand. So, uh, I mean, every senior is very unique and different, and it's about having the checklist in place to take care of all their nuanced dietary needs, medical needs, customizing it to their unique context. And checklists really help there.
And knowing you and how you plan things, I'm sure you always have the checklist in hand.
That's a constant iterative process. Like you keep improving on it, you keep learning from every travel.
Uh, so one is traveling with parents, one is intergenerational travel, traveling with parents and with kids when you are the sandwich generation. What differences do you see in these two kind of travel, and is the planning different? Because each has its own sense of joy and
Yeah.
satisfaction.
Yeah, I think intergenerational travel where we have traveled with our kids and their grandparents and uncles and aunts, it's like that big fat Indian family that's been really special. First part is to just accept everyone as they are. And you're not trying to be perfect, you're just trying to ensure that the basic things are taken care of. Maybe I should just quickly, I think it would be nice to just share. It's a good time for
Yes.
me to probably share a few images. Let me see how I can do this. My screen visible?
Yes.
The photo is visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is a trip with my son. And fortunately, now we have one more, but this was when he was born with my in-laws, my wife and her sister. Uh, this is my son with my in-laws, with grandparents. And these are these moments which just happen unscheduled. And we made sure after the trip, we printed out all, in today's digital age, we miss creating analog. And I think analog is very important, like having those physical copies of everything. So intergenerational travel, I feel, is really, really important because you have all these experiences which create the magic of family. It becomes part of your family lore. And it's also getting all the 3 or 4 generations together to complement each other, like the seniors and elders, just with their sheer presence, they bring in so much of value uh, to the whole experience. And then they get unique bonding moments with the younger generation. They start sharing some of the learnings, experiences. You get feel so much more connected with the family. So yeah, I thought pictures always speak much better. So yeah, so I think intergenerational travel especially is brings in a lot more of that magic, and one should schedule it and look at bringing it in as much as possible.
And when you travel with parents and children together, because under Wanderlust with Care, the vulnerable groups are both seniors and the children. So what are some of the activities? How do you make sure that everybody is happy at the end of the day?
So actually, they complement each other, the younger generation and the elders. In fact, very often a situation which can go a lot out of hand when the grandparent is there, it gets managed better. Of course, sometimes the kids get over pampered, but that's okay. And yeah, the kids also help them around. It's really nice when we have the kids helping them in small, small ways, especially tech oriented things, filling up a form, understanding a map. Uh, these are all things where the kids are able to add a lot of value. So I think they complement each other, and they uh, derive a lot of value out of each other, I would say.
Great. And one question before I move on to Puneet, and this is not in the list of questions. You are an expert financial planner. How do we plan our portfolio so as to plan 2 trips every year like this?
Yeah. So, one
And this should
important
be an
part here,
easy
and
question for you,
actually,
Varun.
you bring in a very good point, follow me. Uh, so I have this belief that resources are always limited, but resourcefulness is not, right? Being resourceful is it's up to everyone. It's not that you got to do fancy trips out overseas. There's so much around our place itself. So I think each one has to have a basic plan. It's good to schedule where you're going to take that out. It should ideally be something liquid. If your resources allow it, uh, like spend, uh, I would say, on a better quality of experience because you may not get that opportunity and you'll regret it. So one thing I do is when I have enough of a budget, I make sure that everything is comfortable and I don't tell my parents how much it costs, especially if I'm doing some kind of luxury stuff, because they come from a generation where, roti, kapda, makan was so important. And some of us have been fortunate to have a better budget available. So I make sure I don't make them aware of how much it costs. Even today, if I tell my dad how much rent I pay, he'll fall off his chair, right? So it's about them being really comfortable. So I think it's here again, maybe I should just uh, share a few uh, pictures, if I may.
Sure.
Yeah, this is so, when people ask where do you take your parents, I think it's about combining both what they are passionate about. And my mom was a big fan of Brian Adams, and I got these lounge seats arranged for her during that concert, and I know she had a great time. Uh, so they were expensive. My budget allowed me to do it. I didn't make her aware of how much we had to pay for it, but I know that it was a really comfortable experience for her. Um, so it's good to schedule and plan this every year in your budget. And this is one expense which will give you return on life. It's not just about return on your investment, it's return on life. It's the most precious investment which you can make.
Yes, Varun, and leave that picture and then return on life. We leave with the thought that 18 till I die. And
Yeah,
this picture just shows that. We'll come back to you with the reflections as we do with the whole panel.
yeah.
That is
So just the
wonderful.
last one to leave is, so that was the passion. This is the spiritual side. And this is fulfilling my mom's wish of going to the Kumbh. And of course, yeah, I want to thank the Silver Genie team also for helping with all the medical support and care. So, yeah, thank you so much, Palami.
Thank you, Varun, and very well said. I think that sets the tone for the next speaker, which is Puneet. So, Puneet, just taking off from where Varun said, wellness travel, and you're into wellness travel, you're into travel for healing, right? And today, when there's a certain generation which says traveling is not for us, how do you introduce wellness travel and move from the mindset of roti kapra makan to roti kapra makan and wellness travel?
Yeah, hello, follow me. Am I audible? Is everything clear? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for raising such a wonderful topic for the audience. Of course, it's a new field, so a little bit of awareness is also required on this front. And so if we talk about normal leisure travel versus wellness travel, then normal leisure travel is actually, there is a lot of people of different age, different demographies are there. And from designing the holiday to down to execution by the end staff who is actually running, maybe a driver or maybe everyone, the whole experience is actually designed for the entire mass, not specifically the senior. So that's where this wellness holiday comes into picture, because if someone goes on holiday, then typical issues like medicine hai ya nahi hai, where will I eat, doctor will be available, not available, whether the schedule will be hectic or not. And to make it working in leisure holiday, then we have to do a lot of customization and lot of effort to make sure that these, the entire experience is very smooth for them. And end of the day, you know for health and happiness is the most important thing. And that's where the wellness holiday comes into picture. It is solely for the purpose of course, you go to different geographies, you go to different destination, you see the world anyway. But then health is also very important, mental and physical both. And that's where these holidays are designed uh, to support uh, maybe seniors or whoever in need of some health, that the holiday that is spent actually contributing into the health and well-being of people. And that's where the Trexova, the company that I represent, comes in. That there's huge amount of variety of wellness holidays available, but it's just not easily accessible. So that's where we come in, and we try to make it easy for people to that okay, according to your need, which one is most suitable, which one is not. And this lack of easy search and easy availability, that's where people, their interest kind of phase out. Everyone wishes to be part of it, but then in the end, finding it and meeting the right place, that makes it so difficult. And that's what we want, that well-being is at the center of our all the holidays. And we want that anyone who goes on holiday should come much more fresher, much more happier, much more healthier, and feeling more happy, and being looked after very well, from designing to execution, every stage of it.
Wonderful. And Puneet, you kind of alluded to that point, but maybe just a little bit more, that how does wellness really contribute also to active aging?
I mean, w- let's say when we talk about active aging, then there are three, four basic, components which comes into picture, like nutrition, mental balance, social connection, and general movement. So that's where so this is like one part of the this concept part of I would say active aging. And the holiday part of active aging comes into picture, that mental balance, of course, the meditation sessions, spiritual sessions which are organized, and the entire aura of being in nature and surrounded by positive energy. That's where the mental balance comes into picture. And nutrition, anyway, it's like proper diets are arranged, and they are very well. Sometimes the diets are arranged according to every individual, I would say. And sometimes they are arranged based on the prakriti of the person, that vata, pitta, and kapha. So not every food is relevant for everyone. Of course, in normal daily life, we eat everything. But and not only that, I mean, it starts from just the water that you drink. So that's also should have some herbal or nutritional component included in it. And of course, movement means the yoga, meditation, walk that you do around. And yoga is also not like you do for just power yoga or someone, but something which suits you, something which is needed for you. And then the therapy is also support, because not everyone might be able to do yoga, or sometimes you need therapies as well. So that's where this element of movement comes into picture. And socially, of course, this is much better. You join a group, you go there, there are a lot of people sitting doing everything, spiritual session happening. So that's where you get exposed to these things. And if I may add also, the uh, when we talk about wellness holiday, then ev- we should not just say that everything in the basket of wellness holiday. So there are four types of wellness holiday. Something which is like a weekend holiday, so you just go for 2 nights, 3 nights here and there and come back, which is like a mild wellness holiday, which is like you are not into any treatment or anything, but you just expose yourself to the concept of wellness. And then next comes is like wellness retreats. So retreats is basically a 7 night, 6 night, 7 night program, which is like there is a fixed schedule that from someone might say, the right from beginning to the end, every day is planned according to the audience, and the food is also planned. All the activities are also planned, so you don't have to go out anywhere. The retreat is actually designed to deliver an objective, let's say spiritual, mental, physical, or something. So you can join any retreat as well. And then next comes is like detox and rejuvenation. Like there is no illness as such, but I just want to go there to feel better, detox and come back. Just immunity is better, I would say. And then last which comes is like therapeutic, which requires more than 7 days of treatment, therapeutic holiday. So that's where you get to meet some doctor, consultation is required. You have your own treatment plan, and in that even diet is also restricted, like what you can eat, what you can't eat. So depending on everyone's need, such holidays are there.
And just that one last question, which was not in the practice sheet, but that's the trick question. So as you study the wellness travel ecosystem, and you have a lot of articles also on it on your LinkedIn profile, which is the top destination in India for a wellness transformative experience?
I would say, depending on, of course, the weather, of course, but during this weather, of course, Kerala is very good place to be in. And of course, within Kerala also we have mountains in the northern part of Kerala, and southern part of Kerala is more like beaches and everything. And of course, within Kerala, you can say Ayurveda holidays or Panchkarma holidays. These are very famous. So, and of course, for all budget categories, these options are available. So you can go for that. And of course, in during summers, you can go to, I mean, Rishikesh and every place where some spiritual element is also gets added. And then Maharashtra, Lonavala, Kandala, Lonavala, Shilim is also good place to be there. And now Himachal, like every state is coming up something or the other. Even government initiatives are also there. So, but yeah, for now, I would say this is the time for Kerala.
So are you going to take us to Kerala next for our Wanderlust with Care Travel to Heal initiative?
Yeah, I'm sure. Why not? Because it is very important for us to feel it. So I believe that unless you have felt it, you can't explain it. So in fact, that's the the starting point of Trexova was that I was not into kind of meditation and anything. I was like a typical corporate person doing traveling and working and everything. So in my pause period when I was looking for what to do, that's when I started doing, someone introduced me to meditation and the kind of amazing feeling that I had. So that was kind of one of the trigger points that I never felt it before, such a calmness that you know it can give after that meditation session. I felt so so light. So that's where I say that unless you experience it, you won't be able to, explain it to that extent. Like it won't be visible on your, emotions and everything.
Thank you. That's wonderful. We'll come back to you again in the reflection section.
Sure.
Thank you, Puneet. Now we of course go international with Yuvan and Paroma. Over to you both. After the calming experience, we'd really like to understand what is in it for the solo woman traveler as we find wanderlust with care. Yuvan and Paroma.
Great. Thank you, Polomi. And Yvonne, welcome to our conversations on Wanderlust. We've been hearing about traveling with parents, we've been hearing about travel for wellness, but I think women have their own journeys when it comes to travel. Within India, I've had a few experiences as well as outside, but would love to hear it from your lens, you having lived across Asia and Africa and traveled extensively. Why don't you share with us some of your thoughts on traveling first and then on traveling solo as a woman? How easy or difficult has it been for you?
Great. Thank you so much, Paroma. It's great to be here. Pleasure to meet you all. So I have been solo traveling, sometimes for business, sometimes for pleasure, for about 20 years. In fact, exactly 20 years. My first solo trip ever was from the States, where I'm originally from, to France. I was going to go with friends. They bailed. I'd wanted to go to France my whole life, and I decided that I just wasn't going to let being alone stop me. And I mean, I will say in that case, in some ways, it ended up being better because I do speak the language. I think if I had been with friends, I would have been in this English only bubble. But as it was, I was able to strike up conversations with random people out in the city, on trains. I even ended up at a hostel I was staying in the south of France, doing a bit of translating between the elderly woman who owned the place and other travelers coming in who didn't speak French and ended up getting some free food in exchange. So that was nice. Um, since then, I've done some bits of solo travel in China, Japan, Kenya, Togo, Uganda, and Rwanda, and most recently on my own to India, which was part of a work trip. I feel like, it can. There are sort of a few key considerations here, which is that I tend to be a bit more adventurous and go off the beaten path more if I'm on a strictly personal trip than when I'm on a work trip. Some of that's because if I'm on a work trip, I really am likely to only have about one day, maybe 1.5 days max to do something outside of business purposes and get out of the conference room. So I really want to maximize the time for sightseeing. The other reason is, of course, for insurance and liability reasons. If I am on my employer's insurance, and there are certain things that it'll cover and certain things that it won't, then I'm less likely to just go wander around random neighborhoods on foot and hop onto public transport and talk to all kinds of random people and duck into sketchy looking alleys that I would do if I'm on my own for a trip for fun. So I think there is that sort of, consideration to take into account. But I would say on the whole, doing in general, I see solo travel as an opportunity to see things that you wouldn't necessarily always see, with a group or a guide, and observe some of the little moments that you maybe don't hear about in travel books or websites. Is it a chance to feel more you can see what life is like, I guess.
Great. Great. Yuvan, you're talking about work and traveling solo for pleasure as well. At work, you also work on gender inclusion. And what are some of those lessons that you can think of that can be applied to designing better travel experiences for women?
I think that, I mean, one big thing is safety. Some of it is, trying to figure out what's what's really safe and what's high quality versus what isn't. You know, like I knew I was going to have one free day in India. I ended up working with Silver Genie to help me find, I thought, okay, if I've only got one free day, I know it's sort of basic, but I'm going to go see the Taj Mahal. Who knows when I'll get to India again? I've never been before. If I only have one day, I'm going to do that. If I end up somehow finding more spare time, I'll do a little bit more random wandering around. But of course, you go online and you see that there are ways to do it in a day trip and various companies offering this, but you don't really know which ones are legit and which ones are not. I worked with Silver Genie to organize something for me because I already had known Pulami, and she was, kind enough to help me set something up. But in general, I think some sort of verification, which reviews on quality and safety are real versus which ones are being generated by bots that a company is using to promote itself. I think also any sort of emergency features, anything where maybe I think where I can share my location with some people I love and trust. I would say thinking about, if you're working with an organization that is planning travel and you're not just kind of wandering around free range, just as I sometimes do, like, is there something you can access quickly, whether it's an app or a website or something, which will maybe have some sort of panic button to connect to law enforcement. One link to, nearby emergency rooms or nearby police stations to your embassy without having to Google or search for all of these things. I think also making sure that wherever you're staying is secure or it has door locks and alarms and things like that. Guidance on what are the most secure means of transport to take. And like, where can you hop on a train or a bus or public transport if you're not a delicate flower. There are some women who are always going to be delicate flowers and who are going to always want like a safely vetted, secure taxi door to door in any circumstances. But if you're not a delicate flower, like kind of understanding, okay, what are some of the neighborhoods that are local that you can wander through? What are some of the public transport options that you can take? I would love to see something that's, maybe even like green light, yellow light, red light. This is safe for anyone. This is good for people who are adventurous and aren't afraid of their own shadows. This is something where even if you're like the most experienced and seasoned traveler, don't do this or go there as a solo woman. Um, then I think also, yeah, I feel like for me, that would be the most important thing since I do solo travel frequently, but I do try to go for sort of those not a delicate flower options and activities when time and the aforementioned liability constraints permit.
Those are actually great tips on design thinking, not just, I mean, when I was listening to you, I was thinking that not just for women travelers or solo travelers, even for seniors or people who just want certain kind of guidances when they're planning their trips. Some of these, like I love the yellow and red and sort of the color coding of the kind of level of travel that you want to do. Those are just great pieces of advices to think about. Yvonne, what would you want to share with a lot of young women travelers or older women travelers who are held back by inhibitions, fear, maybe lack of understanding of what it means to travel solo? What would be some of those tips that you'd want to leave with them, given that I think when you were listing out some of the places you've traveled to, those would probably be top on wish lists of many people.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, first of all, don't let being on your own stop you. There are ways that you can find and design experiences that go with your level of comfort. Um, if you are new to solo traveling, I would say like also consider, make that first trip somewhere that you do speak the language, because that does help you feel more confident. And then once you've built that confidence, then it gets a bit easier to go to places where you don't speak the language or where you don't look like everyone else around you. I would also say, like, try to find ways to find community or meet people while you're there. Ask within your networks, does someone know something that they can offer recommendations, especially recommendations that aren't sort of the obvious touristy things? Does someone know someone somewhere that you could maybe even meet up with for a coffee and have a bit of connection, so that you're not completely by yourself the whole time? Even better if they are a local and have the time or interest to take or show you around, or at least give you some real advice. I feel like I did a lot of solo traveling in the days before everyone had a smartphone and everything was an app. And I feel like nowadays, and before Airbnb even was a thing. And so I feel like nowadays people probably do a lot of this kind of more online. And in fact, I haven't looked into it, but I just saw that there's an app called Wing Woman that is designed for solo women travelers. I don't entirely know what it does because I haven't used it, but like in the old days, in the pre-smartphone days, I would stay in hostels a lot. And that was mostly because like that was what I had the budget to do. But then, there would be these common spaces where, everyone's gathering for breakfast, and you end up meeting all these other young travelers who are wandering through. And frequently you'd end up making some plans together, even if not for the sightseeing itself, because people are on different itineraries. At least you end up maybe finding some people to have dinner with. Um, on one trip to Japan, where I wasn't alone the whole time, but I think I got there a couple of days before the friend who was traveling with me did, and I left a couple days after because I just had more leave. I booked a hostel dorm, and I ended up, I think, on that very first morning making friends with a British guy and an American couple who were in the same dorm. And we all stayed in touch for several years after that. And then when I moved to Europe, one of my first trips that I made was like, I've never been to London. I'm going to go to London, but then I'm going to go to Wales to hang out with this person that I met in a hostel dorm room in Tokyo. Yeah, so just try to find your people, try to find other solo or a couple or sort of small group travelers that are doing the same thing.
Great. I think those are very, very useful tips. And from your memories of travel, you've shared quite a few of them. But if there's one place that a solo woman traveler can start with, what would be one of those top cities or countries that you'd love to recommend?
I can't give one recommendation for every woman, because I think it depends on what your interests are. Are you a city person? Are you a mountain person? Are you an ocean person? As I said, the one recommendation that I do have is maybe making that first solo trip or two to somewhere that will be sort of easy in terms of comfort level. So, somewhere that maybe you haven't been and you want to see, but you speak the language, you might be able to blend in appearance wise, because being able to talk to people and not having that sense of visibly standing out. And so people are going to single you out for attention or money, or, oh, look, there's someone I can pickpocket. That,
Great.
I think it's good to kind of ease in to solo travel.
Lovely. Ease in, I think, is the right way to take away the sort of thoughts you've shared. And I think lovely memories that you've shared to encourage a lot of women to travel. But most importantly, I think it's important to highlight that solo traveling is as much part of a travel experience as is all of the other forms of travel that we're talking about. And like you said, that there's so much to discover when you travel solo. And each one must probably take some time out to do that, woman or man or whatever gender they
Yeah,
identify with.
exactly. I will add one more thing on the safety piece, which is just something that, like, during my day of wandering and touring in India, stood out to me. and helped me feel like, okay, I'm being well taken care of, I'm being respected, is that when we were coming out of Taj Mahal, the guide told me, okay, this area has a lot of pickpockets. Keep a really close eye on your bags here, especially on this one block. Don't speak to anyone. And I mean, getting pickpocketed. It's happened to me several times, more in places that I've lived than in places that I've traveled. But it's a bad experience to go through. You feel violated, and you've lost money. You might have to get cards replaced, and that's going to be even harder when you're traveling. Like, how do you even get your flight back? How are you going to get your cards mailed to you from the bank? Things like that. So just getting that kind of personal, customized, hey, watch out. That could also help. And maybe like along with the red, yellow, green thing. I know in some places, there are various transport related apps that will flag like which bus stops are well lit in the night, which bus stops are sort of populated enough that, no one's gonna stab you because someone will see if someone stabs you. Um, something like, say, maps that indicate, okay, this place has a lot of pickpocketing. This place is well populated and well lit. This place is poorly lit. Something like that, I think, could also be helpful. Maybe even move people from, only going to green lights to starting to consider some of the yellows, and be a bit more adventurous and less afraid.
I think the more we go out, the more it will help us design these inclusive experiences. So these conversations are very, very useful, and to learn from your experiences is always going to be helpful in terms of designing more inclusive solutions. Thank you so much for sharing those thoughts with us. And we wish you many more travels and memories, and look forward to having you come and share more stories and suggestions with us.
Great. Thank you so much. And I hope to get back to India and maybe have more than one day the next time.
We would love to see your wish list of what else other than Taj Mahal do you want to see?
Kerala.
I
Okay.
want probably Goa because I'm an avid scuba diver. So I'd either Goa or somewhere else that I can scuba.
Then you should go to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. That's where you can scuba dive the best in India. And you have the most sort of virgin natural beauties to access. So that should be on your wish list. But you've already seen a wonder of the world in India. So you've ticked the right box on your last trip here.
All right. Well, too many more boxes to come. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank
Just
you.
before we leave, can we just have one quick group picture with all the speakers here? Because Yvonne ma'am has to leave in the next 3 minutes, so we'll just make this very quick. Thank you so much. So anyone who is a good, who can click a picture, please do so. Thank you so much. And I think I'll let Poroma ma'am take over the next speaker. I'm so sorry for that interruption. I think the Gen Z meme couldn't just wait for a picture. So thank you so much.
Lovely to have the Gen Z remind all of us, X, Y, millennial, boomer, whatever other generations, that one should save the memories. Yuvan, thank you again so much. And we'll now move on to Dr. Bhattacharya, who will share his experiences and treasure trove of knowledge really on inclusive travel. Dr. Bhattacharya, welcome, and thank you for taking the time out to join all of us this evening. In your years of working with neurodiverse children and families, what have been some of those observations that have stayed with you about how important travel is for all of these families and children, and how they cope in these new environments?
Huge. The whole issue of this special needs issue. So first of all, thank you very much for including every age group, like from Roti Kapda and Makan group to the kids, and then Yvonne in Paris issue. The whole issue has been covered. I think I'm sure you understand. We're talking about Emily in Paris, but here it is. We have Yvonne. So yeah. So this inclusivity is wonderful, isn't it? And that's what drives us. doing what we do. Because if you think about our own childhood, I think Varun was talking about his family and how wonderful it is to have our grandparents and our kids and our, even us, even the next generation group. So I probably represent that group where we could include four different generations. And then you talk about gender, and then you talk about transgender, and you just divide, divide, divide. Why? Why should we do that? Don't we all have some sort of special needs? Don't we all have some sort of needs? We don't we? I mean, I am kind of blind, and now I'm not. What the big deal? I'm sure it was a big deal at one time. And I know our generation have at least seen those era. The same issue is happening with the ear thing, right? If you don't hear, you put something that is visible from outside, people will pick up on you. So the picking up is the problem. Having the aid is not the problem. The aid is just helping you to get over your difficulties so that you can do what is called activity and participation. So our job, the whole society's job, and especially doctors, then the entire healthcare professionals, we are seen as the healers. And developmental pediatrics actually bridges that gap between the docs, medics, and the kind of society, where we say that let's move the barriers. If we move the barriers, all of us could be equally able. So that is why we come from the first child development center in Indian corporate healthcare setup, and our motto is disability lies only in the eyes of the beholder. Now, because Varun has given me this idea about sharing the slide, I'll try to see while I talk if I can share. So if I find my slide, I will. About the um, activity that we have done with Silver Genie as our child development center, which is now called Nabojatok Child Development Center, which in Bangla means, Navayatak means newborn. Why we do that? Because we know that, in today's day and age, we can detect the risk of any disability, which we call neuro disabilities nowadays, from birth. So this is possible nowadays. And our job is to alleviate that, and out of which the travel is a very important issue because it gives you relaxation. And you can understand how relaxation could be important. We were all talking about it. It matters because it matters to our wellness. And this wellness can be done through nutrition and health and everything. So I have found my slide. So now what I need to do is just briefly, I won't show the entire slide. I just need to share that little bit where we have actually gone ahead, and I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen now, and we can see the slides also.
Yeah, good. So this is the bit we were talking about. So this is called Puja Parikrama. So you talked about the Durga Puja. This was with us, which is Navajatak Child Development Center, and the Skilled IQ Educational Trust. This is into skill building, into this kind of abilities to do things. So this is where you are seeing hell of a lot of children with autism, cerebral palsy, ADHD, but you can't tell. Mostly you can't tell because you have got some wonderful people helping us. And this was with Silver Genie, Navin Enterprise. We did it together, and that's the beauty of it. And that's what I wanted to show, because this is what creates the beauty that we want to see. So I just want to stop there and stop sharing and just go back and discuss basically that, we don't see our kids as any special needs or anything. But why don't we? Because we use such technology which is so powerful in today's day and age that they can do everything. I mean, it's not unknown, right? Somebody has swan from Sri Lanka to Tamil Nadu, right? Unfortunately, she doesn't speak. Now this in our child development center, we don't accept because almost every child speaks, because we use such technologies where that is possible. So they can do sports, they can do education, and none of our kids over 20 years now. So I think Varun was talking about this 20 years journey. So this 20 years, uh, you know uh, we have 85% of our children who have gone back successfully to school, half of whom were severely disabled when they presented to us. Most of them have seen all around the country, and they said this cannot happen, that cannot happen, they cannot speak, they cannot learn, and all of this we have proven as bogus. And we have researched and other things also with international universities of repute sitting in Kolkata. So we call it Kolkata developmental model, and you will find that now in WHO's web page, because it's one of the best practice models in the world. So why we want to now get into this travel stuff? Because why not? I mean, they should really do everything that every other kid is doing. The good point is that by now, with all this effort that everybody's putting up, like all of you are doing such wonderful stuff, that now today, if we want, we actually have a lot of inclusivity. I mean, you will get comments. It's not unusual. I mean, comments are made to everybody every day. Nothing special about special needs. They make comments about special needs as well, right? So what the big deal? So we train our children to grow up in the real world, and we do not expect the world to bend over backwards around them. So we don't really like those sensory rooms in airports and stuff. It's fine at the moment, but none of our kids need it, and we understand that not everybody could deliver that. So it's fine to have it, but it's not really necessary. That science is there. So I think Puneet was talking about diet, right? So important, right? He also mentioned about everybody might need a very specialized diet. Yeah. So there are plenty of myths about autism and diet. So hell of a lot of children are on a restrictive diet. They don't take this and that. None of our children do that. But then there are real medical conditions where you might need to restrict that. So there is a condition called celiac disease. Celiac disease, you cannot give gluten because it can go fatal also. So it's that bad. So, even in this Puja Parikrama, we had a child who had a gluten sensitivity, for whom we have got a special diet. And why that special diet was designed by our nutritionist who has qualified from West Bengal University of Technology, which runs a postgraduate diploma course at our center. I am the director for that. So we have got a nutritionist who is qualified now for special needs children. It's a bona fide government university qualification in intervention into special needs in nutrition. She has qualified. So similarly, we have created all these skilled people around us through those postgraduate diplomas by giving them hands-on experience. You come and you work with us and you learn how every child can do so much better, that they could go to mainstream school and they can learn like every other kid, they can play like every other kid, and they can do every stuff. And there is really no need to think that somebody will become non-verbal. They may take their little time. I take time to read if I don't have my glasses. एक दो तीन चार करके, I mean, what's the point about sort of causing barriers? Let's include.
Include. So you're making some very, very important points, and I love how you're saying that there's nothing special about having special needs. I see the work that you're doing to prepare all of these young people to sort of chart their own inclusivity journey. I hear it when you say that airports don't need special rooms, but how would you like to create awareness for people like me and so many others on this webinar? What should we do to make it more inclusive for these young people when they are traveling? How can we be more watchful? What should we look out for? And how can we change some of our own misconceptions and perceptions?
You got it. You said it. So once we change our thinking, then only things can move. And then we need skill building. It's not going to happen through the hat, right? It's not a trick. You need learning, and that is where we need to join hands, and especially the educational trust that we have made, skilled IQ. It's mainly because so that we can join hands and actually bring this skill building into India's door. We can do that over a period of time, and together we can learn. That's what my appeal would be to you, because it's easy for me to say that you don't have sensory rooms in an airport, but think about it. I mean, what about railway stations? How many railway stations are you going to cover? And is it airport people only? I mean, just think about it. So what I say is that roti kapda or makan and wellness, yeah, wellness travel is part of that. Before all of this comes self-respect. Self-respect, roti kapda or makan, wellness, and wellness travel. Today we should think like that. We should not think that anyone should lack in self dignity, and we should never think that they do not want to, like people say, oh, he's very shy, he doesn't want to talk to others. Complete myth. You enable that person and see how social that person is. We see that every day, and it breaks my heart when we box them into saying that, oh, uska na, his attitude is like that, so he's a very different, and he's a normal, but he doesn't really like to talk. Well, they don't in my place. I mean, we have a Saraswati Puja started by one of our interns who then joined us for a brief time, and she was a Muslim lady who started our Saraswati Puja. 5 years on, we are doing it, and all our special needs children come there. It's a really calm, settled place. None of them do the hula balu that other kids, that unruly behavior that you would see next door in a normal puja pandal, you won't see that in our thing. And some of them have just come for last, say, suppose they have joined 3 months. By that time they're so settled, they're seeing each other, they're learning from each other. They know that this sort of behaviors we shouldn't do because nobody else is doing, and they learn so much from each other. So why do we think that we should exclude? We shouldn't.
Wonderful. So, how do you think inclusive travel experiences will also help break some of these misconceptions that people have about neurodivergent children and adults as well? I mean, how can travel really help us create more awareness, break misconceptions? How can we create those experiences?
It's exactly like solo traveling by women. Why women is important? Because solo traveling by men is not a big deal. That is why solo travel by women is big deal, right? So you understand, society moves slowly, but it moves surely. And I'm very glad to say that India is moving in the right direction. Not every country is. And that is where it's a big difference we are making, that, our women can think of solo traveling nowadays. Yeah, not everywhere. Why should it needs to be everywhere at the first go? It's a process, it will happen. And similarly, we start our people whom we now call special needs, just like women. Like we have kept our women disabled for a long time. Now we know that what wealth we were missing. Same thing is going to happen with this 20% of our population. Our disabled population is 20% of our population. How do we waste our human resource, and why? So let's include. So where does the special skill need is? So, like, why we should not have to build in railway station these sensory rooms, because we do what is evidence based practice now, which we started 20 years ago, which is called train the parents first. If you train the parents first, you don't need so many extra carers to be sent off with them. So it's cost saving. Parents know their children best. If they are trained, they are doing the best job in the world. Yeah, some of them might need extra hands, and we are going to go there. I mean, you go on a tour, you have tour guide. That's it. That's all we need. So puja parikrama, you have seen, we didn't need too many people. We just had few people, normal people, and we managed. Why? Because the parents managed. We had a catastrophe in the middle of it. Our food didn't come because we outsourced it. So we managed it, and we had it all together. One child was hung up about one particular toy, which was, nobody should have given it to, but somebody inadvertently in the puja pandal didn't know and gave it. But we handled it. we handle it so well because the parents were trained and they were not causing any trouble. So it got handled. So this is a practical demonstration of how to do it
Yes.
without having to waste resources in wrong directions.
Yes, yes. I love the analogy of how just like women travelers have learned over a period of time, so can our neurodivergent friends do, and we have to create enabling environments for that to happen. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing such practical tips and also the analogies. Very, very helpful. We'll move on to reflections from everybody. Just before doing that, I would also like to thank BD Chatterjee, who's written a beautiful blog on his travels to Sikkim. He's very much part of our Silver Genie family, and we'd love to welcome him to say a few words as well. Maybe share some top memories from his travel and encourage all the audiences to go and read the blog after that. BD, so over to you.
Thank you so much, Paroma. Well, let me give a perspective like what actually Puneet was talking about. Ultimately the travel has come to be therapeutic. Okay, it starts from mental health, and from there it goes to spiritual health, and that's how senior citizens travel should be looked at. So it is not just going somewhere, and because see, there's always a struggle. So they may feel that, okay, I don't know where I'm going to land in and how the whole thing will happen. The transport will be there or not. Whether I'll land up, whether I need medicine, especially in upper reaches, you may need oxygen. How do you really work? In fact, let me just share with you my experience. Recently, I was in Sikkim, East Sikkim, and it's actually 12,500 feet above sea level, where it's absolutely brilliant, and it's completely out of the world. And I would say it has actually moves from pure travel to spiritual travel. You move more towards divinity. When you see Kanchenjunga, absolutely clear with a 270-degree, all over the place. On one side you see Everest, on the other side Kanchenjunga, the whole of and then the sunrise coming on it. So I think that itself will take away all the disease that you have inside, right? So that's how I believe travel is really therapeutic. And at the end of that, think about pristine beaches. You go there, no crowd, nothing, and then you enjoy, right? So that's what kind of add a lot of years to people, because ultimately, if the mental health is proper, the spiritual health and the physical health will automatically fall in line. So I believe this is very critical, and that's why, for me, a hardcore corporator for 40 years, okay, traveling all over the world and all of that. So now I have decided it is very important to, if you're physically well, you have to be mentally well as well, and keep moving, keep fit, and take things forward.
Wonderful.
That
Thank
is
you
my
so much.
this thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, BD sir. I think the most beautiful part about this conversation and chat with everybody has been that we've been to Kanchenjunga, we've been to a Brian Adams concert, we've been to France, to Japan, to Kerala. So we have traveled virtually in this last 1.5 hours across the length and breadth of the world, and that truly is a representative of the potential of Wanderlust. And if you can make it inclusive, nothing like it. Before we move into Q&A, I'd love to go across to all our panelists for their reflections and what they thought of the conversations, any key points they want to take away, share with everybody. The floor is open. I'd love to invite each one of you to share your reflections. Varun, would you like to go first?
I started, so I'll go last this time.
Sure, please go ahead.
No, I'll go after.
Your voice is a little feeble right now, Varun. Um, Anybody who's ready to share some reflections can go ahead. Puneet, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Paroma and Polomi and my fellow panelists. It's really wonderful. I think there is 2-3 things that I want to add. As BD sir mentioned that nature is also very important. As he rightly mentioned, it's a natural healer. So going to nature is also very, very important. It kind of, of course, scientifically, if you go, there will be a lot of statistics available, like what it does to your blood pressure, your, thinking, your cognitivity, and all other aspects, and all the healing that happens from nature only, and Ayurveda, all those preventive, everything comes from nature only. So, and when you, for example, go to a beach, a nice beach in the breeze, when you take a deep breath, so that's where everything comes to. So rather than going to a very hectic schedule, it's better to go to a relaxed atmosphere. And when we talk about nature, then it's both taking and giving as well. So when we take it, then we need to give it as well. So that's where there is a concept of responsible tourism comes into picture. So when we take it, then what are we leaving? And being seniors and being educated and having experience, so we also need to be responsible towards nature. And in a way, this wellness holiday, this like kind of decongestion of the hectic city, rather, for example, let's say going to a monument where thousands of people are going, so that's where things really go haywire. And going to places which are very close to nature, living along with nature, and then giving it back. So that's how it kind of adds purpose. And there's one more concept is like, of course, traveling gives us memories, which we know that happy time spent, and that's what we know. But then wellness holidays, you come back with some more skills which you can practice in your daily life, because when you are part of a journey, when someone is trying to, in doctor consultation, someone is trying to heal you, then you learn a lot of things, so which you usually, in your proximity of day to day life, you are not exposed to these things. So apart from memories, then you bring back some good practices which you learn over the, of course, pictures and everything is nice, but then you are more skilled to be, part of your daily life. And that's what being responsible, learning, giving back, taking, and exposing this to seniors where they can be some more healthy. So that's a purpose that we are on to, and I think we are happy to serve that purpose.
Thank you, Puneet. Lovely thoughts on taking and giving both as being integral part of travel. Thank you so much. Dr. Bhattacharya, Varun, any reflections?
I'll go after Dr. Bhattacharya.
Sure.
I say it's a good life. Let's make it together.
I love the points about inclusivity that Dr. Bhattacharya spoke about, and about integrating wellness into your travel that Puneet brought out. And uh, Yvonne gave some great points about solo traveling for women. Uh, so I think this is one thing where there is no retirement for seniors and elders out there. I'll tell them that be open to the possibility. And for the younger generation who are like caregivers, I'll tell them that take your elders along more than anything for your own good. And it's something you'll really value in the long run. Uh, Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya. Thank you, Varun. And thank you, BD sir and Puneet. I will hand over to Sansita, who kindly gets all of us together and anchors our conversations every time. Sansita, would you like to take us through any questions? You're on mute, Sansita.
Yeah, you're mute.
Yes. I hope I'm much more audible now. Yes. Before, okay, let me just go quickly to the questions. I see we have two questions right now. So let's take the first question from Kuhu Adhikari ma'am. So she's asking, what are the challenges in wellness travel in India? I think Puneet sir, you would probably want to take
Yeah.
this question as well.
Yeah. I mean, challenges, first thing that comes out is, of course, finding, because there is a huge amount of variety available. So, what is right for me? That's very important. because so that's where the major gap is right now. Awareness of these things, how to find what is right, what is not right. And then of course on the and the execution side, the execution of that holiday. So for example, we have seen that, you know, it's like someone going for some therapy or something, and people are not skilled enough. And then comes the issues like I'm the person is actually unable to walk that much, but the therapy room is on first floor. So those are kind of, you know, typical issues because the industry is not very well organized at the moment. So these issues, basically how to map, how to connect, how what is right. So that's where this you know, the experience can be much better.
Thank you. And I think we'll move on to the final question of the day. So we have this question that says, what are the must-have things we can carry while traveling with seniors? I think this is an open-ended question for all our speakers. So if you could just quickly give your must-have carry, so that would be really nice. We'll start with Varun sir. Probably you would want to go first.
Yeah, so you have to create a checklist which covers food, medicine, medical help, uh, and seniors tend to have a different energy curve. You have to customize your trip to that. Yeah, this is what comes to my mind.
Okay. Anyone else would like to answer? And or otherwise, we can go for the closing remarks by Poroma ma'am as well.
Just seniors should have a backup plan.
Very well, sir. Of course. I think before we just go to the closing remarks, we have one more question from the audience.
I have a question for BD.
Okay.
So just as a follow-up question of Dr. Bhattacharya, what was BD's backup plan when he went to Sikkim, 13,000 feet above sea level?
Nothing much. It was basically an oxygen cylinder. That's it. The rest is your self-confidence.
And he didn't need much because that 270-degree view is where I grew up, you know, not Sikkim. I grew up in the foothills of Himalayas,
Right.
and I used to get that, you know, few days a year, and that's entire detox. I mean, it's, you know, Puneet was talking about you have to experience it. It really is. I mean, I experienced it from the childhood. That is why I'm into kiddies business.
In fact, let me give you my experience because I was a little worried in the beginning. Let me be very blunt because 12,500 feet, you can well understand, right? So I carried a bunch of medicines with me in a folder just to ensure things don't go wrong. You won't believe it, the entire medicine came back and I handed over back to the, the pharmacist. Not required.
So you had a backup plan, right? That answers your question.
That was a contingency plan, I call it.
I love that interaction. So we'll move on to the final.
At the end of the day, the most important thing is the pure oxygen. And that oxygen gives you life.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So we'll move on to the final question of the day from Ms. Prachi. She asks, what are the most effective methods to differentiate between casual interest and high intent wellness travelers so that marketing efforts reach the right audience? So I think this is a question again directly to Puneet sir. I'm so sorry for calling you again and again, but Puneet sir, this question I think is for you.
I mean, of course, in order to identify who is the right fit for wellness holiday, so I that's where we need to go into the categories of wellness holiday, like I mentioned, wellness retreat, or it's a wellness weekend, or it's a, you know, therapeutic wellness, or it's a you know, some specific or maybe some other yoga meditation. So every category has its own audience that, of course, we can map onto. That this category is directly related to this type of audience. And then, of course, for example, therapeutic means you have to have some need for therapy, or if it's a couple who wants to go to you know, on a wellness weekend, then of course you want to go to nearby, let's say 200 300 kilometers nearby only. and then you want to have mild experience for wellness. So that's where I mentioned earlier as well that it's such a vast field, and I've been to a lot of retreats in India. I've seen like so many as part of Trexova, and seeing them, I found that everyone has absolutely good, but then they are different. So that's where when someone says it's one wellness, then one wellness is actually very vast topic and cannot be covered because the needs can be completely different, as Dr. Bhattacharya mentioned that. Of course, not to name that special, but of course, every need can be different. But then, for example, solo women have different needs. So that's where, in order to categorize it, so first thing is to categorize it, and then according to category, then attempting it would be a better choice according to me.
Understood, sir. Thank you for that very insightful answer. I think just before I pass on the mic to Paroma ma'am for her closing remarks, I would just like to give a huge thanks from our side also. It was very, very nice to have everyone here. And just, I will share the blog link in our WhatsApp group so that you can all just read BD sir's blogs along with so many other blogs and, take that moment to reflect and then step on the journey that writers wrote. So I think over to you, Paroma ma'am.
Thank you, Sansita. I think my key takeaway from all of these very, very enriching conversations is that as much as labels are important, I think so many of them are in our mind and we reinforce them through our actions. I think it's time for us to all collectively come together and find ways to break those reinforcements. And I think this conversation in itself is testament enough that that is possible to do. Whether it's women, whether it's seniors, whether it's children with neurodiversity, I think the collective onus is on all of us abled people, abled in quotes, to make sure that these labels are not reinforced every day. And I think travel is a great leveler, a great sort of educator to be able to do that. And as an avid traveler, I think I have thoroughly enjoyed, like I said, traveling across the length and breadth of the world today with all of you. Thank you to all of our panelists for taking the time out, for sharing some very, very personal stories, for sharing some learnings, lessons, experiences. And thank you to everybody else who joined us to listen to us as well. I hope, if nothing else, we've encouraged you to go to the Make My Trip website without marketing or promoting anybody over here to look at some travel options for the end of the year holidays for each of you. On that note, thank you to the Silver Genie team for putting this together. Thank you, Sansita, and I'll hand it back over to you and Prakhar for closing the webinar.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, and our audience members as well. You've been a great audience, and thank you so much, panelists. And I have no words. I just want to book the next ticket and travel. So I think that is my next go to plan now. But Prakash sir, would you just want to give a small closing remark from our side as well?
Yes, and thank you again for everybody to spare time on a weekday and have this wonderful discussion. Uh, yeah, travel is essential for all of us. I think it opens up our minds to to newer things, and when we meet new people. And at Silver Genie also we are trying our level best, in our offerings to you know again liven up that part of your life where you want to travel. And it is as our our patrons who are now seniors, and they are always looking out for people, their children, when they will come from their their work vacations, and then they can go out for travel. But we are trying to enable them so that they travel. And we've seen great results over the last all the cohorts that we've done this year. We've gotten tremendous response, and we've had repeat travelers as well. So that's a testament of maybe we are moving in the right direction now. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing, and I love doing it. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you so much for everyone to be here. In the webinar now. Thank you so much for joining in. It was such a lovely conversation. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.